Oh, good morning. Today is cold and it's a leap year, so I think that makes today about the 52nd day of February. I think that's how we're counting these days now. It's 52nd of February. Golly, if I actually did the math, it would probably be even like the 60 something. Whatever. It's cold and it's definitely doesn't feel like April out here. But the birds are singing and it's quiet. I'm kind of okay with that. I've been thinking about a word recently. Um, I studied to some extent. It's the word liturgy, and the word liturgy comes from the Latin liturgia. And there's two different ways that people define liturgia. People people whose denominations utilize um, priests and people who are specially set aside to do things that only priests are allowed to do. Um, define liturgia as the work done for the people. It literally means the work of the people, but for them, the connotation is that it's the work that is done on their behalf by someone who is qualified and called. Um, for everybody else, the work of the people literally means the people's work, as in like the work you're supposed to be doing. And I've been thinking about the work of the people lately, partially because, I lead worship, and you want as many people who are in church as possible to be doing the work of the people. You want them to be engaged in worship. You want them singing. You want them praying. You want them, doing the stuff that's part of church. You want them to do their work, and it's one of those things where it's used for, if you've seen Frozen, the new Frozen movie. I don't want to spoil a whole lot, but here's a small spoiler. Um, it relates to that. Sometimes when we say, "Hey, there's a thing that we're waiting for," we find out that we're actually the ones that we're waiting for to do the work. Like, I sure wish someone would go and worship. But it turns out that sometimes we're the people that we're waiting to do that work. Um, you find other things. It's like, a little bit like, the Harry Potter movie where it's like, there's someone who's going to show up here and he's going to cast this Patronus and we're all going to win. And it's like, no one's coming. It was me. I was waiting for me. And it's this, the reason why the Harry Potter movies rhyme so much with Christian morals, even though it was written kind of antagonistically toward Christians, the more the Christians antagonize J.K. Rowling, is the fact that, like, there's some true concepts in there. And one of them is the work of the people is something that we desire to see done. And if we desire to see it done, we need to be part of doing it. And if we say, if we're the ones who say, like, you know what, this needs to get done, we need to put our shoulders to the work to see it done. Now, sometimes we see something that needs to get done, and we're not the ones that need to lead it, but we are the ones who need to help make it work. We can't just sit there and say, hey, it'd be great if someone mowed the lawn out here, which it doesn't, because this lawn is cut, and it's cold, and it's perfect, and it's not freezing. I love it. But if someone sat there and said, it sure would be nice to cut this lawn, at the very least, you need to show me where the mower is. Now, that starts to come close into then what are we doing as far as the quarantine right now for worship? If you are waiting on someone else to lead you into worship, you do not understand what your work is. The reason we worship is not so that you can finally have someone lead you. The reason we worship in groups is so that we can do it corporately. But you have the ability, the call, and the permission to do it yourself, by yourself, the other 6 days of the week, 5 if you go to church twice a day, 4 if you're crazy about it. But you need to be part of the people who actually worship during the week, so that you're not sitting there waiting for someone saying, I sure wish someone would worship so I could join in. That's not the people that God made you to be. God didn't make worship leaders and everybody else. He made worship leaders, period. We're all worship leaders. Some of us do it vocationally, and some of us don't. But we are all of us worship leaders. We all need to do this thing. I've been looking at the tributes that people are making to the class of 2020 on social media. I have mixed feelings about posting up your picture from your graduation. I saw a really funny meme that said posting your grad pic from your graduation for the class of 2020 is like showing a picture of your house to a homeless person. It was like there might be a little bit of truth to that. I don't know. Maybe they feel supported. Let me know what you think, class of 2020. Do you feel supported when you see someone else's grad pics? I don't know. But look at the purpose of our graduation. I'm sorry, there's a blue jay over there. He's beautiful singing, man. I love this. It's quiet. But the reason we have graduation ceremonies, we have whole groups of graduating classes that have done the same work. They've accomplished the same milestones. Some of them with honor, some of them just, like graduated by the skin of their teeth, which is a weird phrase when you think about it, because none of us has skin on our teeth. And some of them almost didn't graduate, I guess. But they're all getting together. But the reason we don't just say, okay, everybody in here, good, you're graduating, now get out. We get people together. We have great speeches given by their administrators, teachers of the year, their the valedictorian class presidents. My buddy Phil and I used to play a game where we would do the same stuff whenever, because like you have the same thing show up in grad speeches every year. Like, this is the moment we've all been waiting for. The future is ours. When I was thinking about what to write in this speech, it's like it's the same speech over and over again, but we love it because we're honoring people's work. And honoring our graduates is something that each one of us need to be doing. We need to not wait for a class president. We need to not wait for a valedictorian. We need to not wait for the principal or the superintendent to step up to a podium and tell us what we already know. They have worked their hind ends off, and they have reached a milestone, reaching into adulthood. I mean, like, there's the age of majority in this country, but we all know that graduating from high school is basically that final veil you pass through to go from child to adult in our nation. Because after you graduate from high school, things start getting real, man. I mean, you have to start making like life choices that impact you for years to come. And we need to be encouragers of them individually, going to them to tell them how proud we are of them, going to them to encourage their decision-making process and giving them lots and lots of mercy and grace if they don't know what they're doing yet, especially if they can't actually get out into the market yet because things are locked down. We need to start offering them a recognition of their adulthood before these grad ceremonies that may or may not happen. Because that is the work of the people. That is our work, people. So, as you find your work to do, and you say, man, I sure wish someone would do this, try to think through what work that you need to do for that and through that, what part you have to play for that work that you have discovered. I think you'll find that there's some really fulfilling life that's out there that you have discovered that you may just need to find out you have permission to do. But in any case, I'm going to go inside. It's cold. It's April. And I actually kind of love it because it's not hot yet. Love you guys. Talk to you soon.